there for everyone else. All right, so Chuck, are you starting us off today?
I am.
All right, well, I'll let you introduce yourself, Chuck, and I'll just step aside and mute myself. And you need anything, I'll be in the chat there, and hope you have a great session with your folks.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Chuck Shembry, and I'm an environmental scientist who conducts education and outreach across the state and works with a lot of partners. And I'm within the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. And I'll let Carlos introduce himself. Carlos, maybe do you want to just do that maybe I'll just let you do that, Carlos, when you do your presentation. Carlos and I actually work really close together. We're in different divisions, as you can see there in the title. So I'm going to give you a little overview of what we're going to be talking about today. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with Project WET. It's a national program, and I am tasked as the state coordinator for the Project WET program in Nevada, and I'll explain more about that. And I think about half of my presentation will be focused on Project WET. And I'm going to go over some unique water and watershed curriculum that has been created in Nevada by various organizations. And I'll talk a little bit more about our connection to these organizations. So I won't just be speaking about the work that my division and State Department has created. I'm going to be talking about a lot of our partnerships across the state and all the great work they've done as well. So we're going to talk about those organizations, and some of them have created unique online resources, and I'll highlight some other resources that you can look at. And then Carlos has been working on, I think for the last year or more, a really cool program that they just buttoned up called Flood Fighters and Nevada Rivers. And it's an educational video game, and there's some story maps chronicling the history of flooding throughout Nevada. And it's all connected to NGSS. And I know Carlos is really excited about this, so he'll tell you more about that. And I also wanted to note this presentation today, I have it as a PDF, and I'll stick it in the chat when I'm done. And there's a lot of links in here. So I actually look at this PowerPoint today as kind of like a resource for you all, because I couldn't possibly, if I tried to dive deep into anything, I would only be able to really highlight one resource. So I just thought I'll just kind of breeze through this, let you see what's available for you, get an idea of all the great environmental and watershed education that is unique to Nevada. And that's just really my goal today is to expose you all of that and give you some really great contacts as well. So our organizations in the state are committed to working with teachers in the classroom. There's a lot of great programs. And so really what you're going to want to do is identify these organizations that are in your region and connect with those folks. And I've already talked to all of them and have told them that they may be getting some emails after today. So quickly about where I'm coming from. I'm in the Division of Environmental Protection. We're composed of many bureaus. I'm in the Bureau of Water Quality Planning. We're the only non-regulatory bureau. We do all the monitoring and testing of the water quality throughout the state. And we also manage the non-point source program for the state, which what we do is we're mitigating pollution to our waters, to our surface waters. And we manage a grant program, and we provide funding to partners across the state to achieve these goals, implementing projects on the ground. And one of the components of our mission is to advance education. And that's one of the roles I play. I actually do education in a whole variety of ways. I work with industry and agriculture, and also help our partners strengthen education for K through 12. And I am the state coordinator of Project WET. That sounds like a big title. It's really not. I'm kind of like a liaison at the 30,000 foot level. And we have a lot of, well, not a lot, we have a handful of folks who do the Project WET teacher trainings, and I'm going to dive into that more. And you can see some pictures here teachers on the right doing one of the activities, and there's me working with kids talking about runoff and erosion, and there's the Truckee River. All right, so let's jump into Sierra Nevada Journeys. I can't go into much detail about any of these organizations, and again, this is almost like a resource for you. You can click on these links. SNJ, Sierra Nevada Journeys, does incredible work. They're very focused on STEM education. They have their own unique curriculum that they've created. One of them that they really wanted me to highlight for you is this free STEM teacher resources. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. In fact, I should be able to get a highlighter on here. I'm not sure if I can figure that out. Well, can you guys actually see my mouse moving around? Okay, good. We'll just go with that. All right, so you're definitely going to want to check this out. Alyssa, Sierra Nevada Journeys covers California and Nevada. Their headquarters is in Reno. They do actually cover and do work in Vegas and in Clark County, and I believe they want to expand down there more. So their mission is to deliver innovative outdoor science-based education programs for the youth, develop critical thinking skills, and inspire natural resource stewardship. They have a program called Classrooms Unleashed, where they actually come into your classroom and do environmental watershed education. I think they do some other stuff too, like robotics, and I usually don't get into that with them because I'm focused on water. And they do professional development. So if you're looking to get your PDs or continuing education, they do professional development. Truckee Meadows Butte. Oh, did someone have something?
Yeah, sorry, can I interrupt you? You said the two links you just talked about that were on the, yeah. Can you drop those into the chat? Can you copy and paste them in or something so we can?
I'm going to be dropping the entire PowerPoint as a PDF into the chat when I'm done.
Okay.
And this is a resource for you. This entire thing, every single link will be linkable. So don't worry about writing anything down. Just sit back, relax, and maybe sit on a midday margarita. I don't know, but let's have fun here, and don't worry about writing anything down off these slides. I'll get them to you. Okay, keep Truckee Meadows beautiful. They are in the Reno, Truckee area, and they do a variety of things. They do cleanup events and stuff like that, but they do have a program called the Watershed Watershed Warriors, or actually Warriors Youth Education, which covers weeds, waste, and watershed. I work with them primarily on the watershed piece. Again, here's these links. This YouTube video is really nice. It's about a 15-minute video. You can show your children in the class. Caitlin would be your main contact there. And they also do teacher trainings. So you can, if you're in the Reno area, check in with them. And I do believe they do come into the classroom as well. Most of these organizations have in-classroom services. Okay, Living with Fire is actually, this is a new program that's going to be launched and available in 2023. It's curriculum for high school students, I believe, primarily, maybe middle school students. And I'm highlighting this component, the erosion and landslide after fire, because that's connected to water. So they've put together some curriculum, unique in-house curriculum for teachers to do activities. And you can see on the right here, there's this erosion experiment. And so you can look at how sedimentation impacts our waters. And in fact, soil erosion into our waters is the number one pollutant to water bodies in the world. So I always encourage teachers to dive into that kind of exercise more and get children and our youth understanding how important it is to control soil erosion. Spencer would be your contact. Again, not available yet, but coming soon. So look out for that. And here's a couple other interesting opportunities in our state. The Desert Research Institute, they are up in Reno, but this box called the Green Box, they put together, it's a variety of activities. I believe it's free. There's the link right there to apply and submit a form to get one of these boxes. I think it needs to be returned. I'm not sure where their program's at now, but they used to give them away for free. But these boxes, again, they're full of all these cool activities you can see in there, and it's like ready off the shelf, ready to go to do environmental education in the classroom. And then trout in the classroom, I bet you some of you on this call are already familiar with this, part of the Nevada Department of Wildlife. And this is a really neat program just for 4th and 5th grade. Some of our organizations in this presentation actually work with trout in the classroom, and they're the ones who get it in there, like river wranglers, who I'll talk about soon. So basically raise a trout in the classroom until they're a decent size where they can be released back into the wild. So that's pretty cool. You can check that out. All right, let me dive into Project WET. So we have been these coordinators of the Project WET program for about 20 years. And it is a nonprofit based out of Montana, but it's global now. And Project WET is essentially has some of the most vetted water curriculum education developed in the world. And what we do is we take that unique curriculum and we tailor it to our local watersheds. And it's really designed for training teachers to learn how to use these activities. I'm not going to go through all the information on there. You can just read about it when I send you the link. But the important thing is that we provide trainings and workshops in Nevada that are in person and online. So this is the bread and butter of Project WET. In fact, they probably have produced at least 200 resources. So you can go online and shop around. This guide right here, you cannot get this unless you attend a teacher training. You cannot just buy it offline. So we conduct these teacher trainings around Nevada, from generally Reno, Carson area to Vegas, Clark County. So this edition was released in 2011. It still stands strong. It's recommended by the National Science Teachers Association, and it's aligned to the Common Core standards and Nevada standards. We've worked with the Department of Education to make sure of that. It's linked to the next generation science standards and STEM. All of these activities, in fact, have been field tested by teachers before they've ever been included into this curriculum. So it is a variety of activities. I'm not going to go through the activities. There's a lot of them in there, and they're quite comprehensive, and they require having the materials, and then you probably aren't going to really be able to use this guide unless you go to a training, to be honest with you. But you could. Here's another one that came out recently, and I know Clark County folks are really interested in this, probably because people are more open to talking about climate change down there than maybe some other parts of Nevada. And so this is not a very overwhelming guide. It's at least 1/10 the size of the guide 2.0. So it has maybe about 15 activities in there. And Get Outdoors Nevada and the Southern Nevada Water Authority are very interested in this. And we just had a workshop in October at Springs Preserve that went over activities with the climate, water, and resilience. And there's opportunities for that coming up soon. So I will let you, you're going to learn about that in another slide coming up. But this is really going to be talking about water conservation and how to get the message across and teach children in particular the difference between climate and weather. There's a difference there, and how that impacts things locally. But again, you really need to work with like local experts to understand how to use this curriculum probably in your classroom for your local region. Oh, here's a resource Project WET created. This is an online resource for you. Discoverwater.org. You can just look at that right now. These are all activities on the top there that you can click on, and they're interactive and they're pretty fun. My favorite is actually Blue Planet. Excuse me. This is just the intro page for Blue Planet, and go ahead and play around with that. But if you click on the Blue Planet activity, this basically the globe spins around really fast, and you can do this in class with a real globe, and the student clicks the globe, and wherever that click ends, whether it's on water or land, it starts building up the statistics of how many times you hit land or water. And, if you did it 30 times, and it should play out that about 70% of those clicks were on water and the other 30% were on land. And then there's all these other, lesson and activity questions and stuff that back up this specific activity. And I've heard a lot of teachers really love this. It was finalized in 2018, so it is relatively new. Okay, so the Project Wet trainings, they're about 6 to 8 hours. You become a certified, I didn't write it on here, but you actually become a certified Project Wet educator. You get a really cool title when you're done with doing these trainings. And get the Guide 2.0. And we generally invite local experts to talk about our local water resources. And then we also do about 5 activities, and each workshop will be a bit different. Maybe we're focused on wetlands, maybe we're focused on water conservation, maybe there's a workshop that's just focused on Lake Tahoe or just the Carson River watershed. So it kind of depends where you are. And so they're always different. So even if you've done one before, you might actually be interested in doing another one or two and find out how they might be uniquely designed for that particular training. You do earn professional credits and continuing education units. I'm not the expert on this, and you guys know way more than me, but every county is different, and I've learned about that. So I know Clark County has its specific rules around you can't double dip, and others you can in other counties. So, but I can assure you, if you take this Project Wet training is basically grandfathered in by the Department of Education to receive either or on how you decide to use those hours that you gain from the training. Here's just a list of our organizations that are predominantly doing these trainings. Got Get Outdoors Nevada in Clark County, Springs Preserve in the Southern Nevada Water Authority, Great Basin Outdoor School in Reno, River Wranglers. And then I also conduct some and work with some other partners on that. And we also have online trainings for this. They're a little bit generic and not as fun. Definitely do the stuff in person. But if you want to do something online, just contact me and I'll get you set up on that. I'm going to go through this pretty quick, so I want to make sure Carlos has enough time to get through all of his stuff. So I'm going to spend about 3 more minutes or so. Again, you can follow up with Get Outdoors Nevada. I'm sure some of you are familiar with them. Amy Page and Paula Garrett are actually teachers in Clark County. Maybe some of you know them, and they are absolutely incredible at teaching the Project Wet activities, maybe the best in the state. And Get Outdoors Nevada is just maybe taking over a little bit more with putting these workshops on, which might free up Amy and Paula to even do an even more fantastic job. So I'm really excited about what they're building out there. So definitely check in with these guys. And they have they do Discover a Watershed Colorado River series, which is part of Project Wet, and they do a great job on that. And they're also doing virtual in-person trainings. So you can email them to find out about the next training. And they've also been partnering now with the Southern Nevada Water Authority, and we provide funding to both of these folks to do the Project Wet trainings. That's kind of where I come in at the 30,000 foot level, is helping to make sure we facilitate and get funding in the hands to the right people to do this work. Springs Preserve, if you haven't been there, if you live in Clark County, you got to get yourself over there. It's super cool. When I first went there, I thought maybe I was going to walk some dirt trails and see some interesting stuff. And then I pulled up and realized it was like the Universal Studios of environmental education. I was kind of blown away. I'm up in the Carson City area, so I wasn't too familiar. There is a teacher training coming up March 4th. Southern Nevada Water Authority partners with Springs Preserve, and they created this online curriculum called Springboard. So bring a STEM expert into your classroom. Check that out for sure. Really, really cool program. And I believe it's relatively new. And there's also field trips you can set up with Springs Preserve to bring your classroom out there And this QR code right here, go ahead and hit that to get on the mailing list. And you, for more information, you can, actually, I believe you can get more information through this QR code. But if you don't get where you're trying to get after today with some of these resources, you can contact me. I'm going to quickly, if you're up in the Reno, Carson area, Carson Valley, these are our two powerhouse environmental ed organizations. The River Wranglers are through any county across Carson River, and you can contact Rebecca and you can get customized, probably services from her to come in the classroom or to set up a field day. But there's many field days that are organized throughout the watershed. Some unique programs they do is conserve the Carson River work days. They have trout in the classroom. They do the Carson River snapshot days where the kids come out to a site and they learn about testing and sampling for water quality. And then River Wranglers also does Project Wet trainings. I don't think there's been one recently. COVID ruffled everything up pretty hard. So they're trying to get they do a tremendous amount of work on the ground, but I believe they're doing about one training a year. And I think they're trying to partner up with the Carson City School District on that one. And then Great Basin Outdoor School is actually in Reno, but they cover all of the Nevada side of Tahoe and the Tahoe Basin. And they do some day camps and they do overnight camps that kids can go to. And they do a lot of activities and work with them. They have a partnership with the Tahoe Environmental Research Center, also known as Turk. Oops. And what's cool about that program is they get out on the research boat, and they go out there and they measure water quality and they learn about the health of Lake Tahoe. And they do a couple teacher trainings a year. Sue Jaycox was a teacher and she's absolutely incredible. So you can contact her for more information. They also do some family stuff and they do some snowshoe hikes to learn about the importance of snowpack. I think that's it because I'm about up in my time and I want to make sure Carlos has enough time. Here's my contact info. And I don't know if we're fielding questions at all, but if not, then I'll pass it on to Carlos. And
I think there were some questions out, and just really quick, Project Wet, what age groups are those for?
Oh, Project Wet is for K through 12, but I would say it's probably more impactful of K through middle school, but you can adapt any lesson to any age group. And I'm pretty good at understanding how to do that as well. So if you have any questions, I know I went through things pretty quickly and maybe you didn't gain like absolute critical information you might have been looking for, but my hope was just to give you an overview. So please contact me, especially if it's about Project Wet. You can contact me and we can chat more about it.
Right. And I think just one question I have for you, Chuck. Which one's your favorite?
Or what?
Your favorite lesson plans or anything in particular with Project Wet?
Oh, well, I'm actually a certified erosion control specialist, and Carlos knows I'm a soil nerd. And there's one called Just Passing Through that I really love because you teach the kids how important vegetation is on the landscape for retaining the flow of water and sediments. And like I said, erosion is one of our biggest issues. So Just Passing Through, it's really fun where the kids have to try to run past the other kids and not get tagged, and they're carrying beans and turns into a bunch of chaos at some point, and then you bring it back in. But the more you basically add more kids for more vegetation and take more kids away to have less vegetation. And yeah, I would say Just Passing Through, Carlos. That's one of my favorites. And then, there's another one called Incredible Journey. That's really one of the staple activities of Project Wet. But I believe there's over 100 activities in that book. And if you are in Clark County, make sure you talk to Paula and Amy because they know at least 50 times more than I do about running these activities because they've been doing them for so long.
All right, and just one quick comment and one more question. Mary Hood commented that, actually, do that training if you haven't. It's great, and it refers to Project Wet. And Rochelle asked, is the Southern Nevada Water Authority over the Virgin River area near Bunkerville, Mesquite, Nevada?
I'm sorry, do they serve that area, Mesquite?
I believe that's the question, and that's a good question. I'm not really sure.
I am not sure. That is a good question. So I don't know, but I have been to Mesquite. It's a cool little town, so I hope they do. Thanks for fielding the chat. I couldn't actually see it while I was presenting.
Yeah, no problemo. And I'll just go ahead and start kicking things off unless there's any other questions from anybody. All right, guess I'll kick it away. Oh, here we go. Can we get the PowerPoint?
Yes, I'm going to put the link in right now. So if someone could actually pull it up on their end and just shoot me in the chat if it's not working, and I'll make sure to get that dialed in.
Awesome. Thank you very much again, Chuck.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I picked up some wonderful information right now, and I got a whole bunch of links from my whole PowerPoint that I'll unload as well on the chat box really quick. There we go. Okay. All right.
Carlos, you didn't tell me to dress up as nice as you.
Saturday. Here's. All right, so I guess I'll go on and get started. Okay. It says here, host disabled participant screen sharing. So let's see.
Carlos, let me double check that you're in there.
Okay.
Okay, you should be co-host now.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, I think it should be all good to go. Awesome. So really quick, again, my name is Carlos Rendo, and more than anything, before I want to get rolling, I want to thank you all. You all are teachers, facilitators. You have a wonderful, wonderful job that I totally admire. And at the same time, you stuck with it all day. And I'm so glad that I think the last guy on the road, so I get to have you for the very end of the journey, and I'm really happy to be here for you. And just to kick things off, Nevada Teaching and Learning Conference, wonderful to be here. I work with the Nevada Division of Water Resources, Public Outreach Manager, and I've had the opportunity to go in front of teachers and go to events. Some point, just going to events and seeing teachers and classes, maximum I can hit 4,000 people in 1 year, and that is really bouncing around. Sometimes I just get folks for 5 minutes, but moving into the virtual materials that we have for you here, I think just getting good information provided to y'all is one of the things that we're looking to there we go. All right, looking to get forward to y'all, and two specific products. One was created by U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that we partnered together, and just to let you know, so one of them is Flood Fighter, this educational video game. Not gloating, not feeling sad about this, but about $100,000 was poured into that video game, and no other state in the country has it. And so we think it's an excellent resource, but being on the state side, it was really hard to break through and get these kind of things over to teachers. One of the things we figured out is, well, these aren't aligned to NGSS standards, and we went through the extra effort to partner with Sierra Nevada Journeys to make sure that they were. So we got that for you. We have the second batch is the 6 story maps, collectively called Nevada Rivers, and they chronicle history in Nevada in terms of floods throughout Nevada, but quite a bit more. So everybody knows that, you know, video games are fun and cool. Whenever I tell a kid, you know, today we got video games for you, they just start going nuts, dancing around in circles. I'm sure you had similar experiences with that. For story maps, you know, it's a little hard to get kids totally excited about it, but just a sense to see these rich pictures of the history of Nevada, I think it does a whole lot for giving us a sense of place with the history of Nevada. I think only 20 to 25% of individuals in Nevada are from here. So, you know, it gets kids essentially not entrenched, but we're starting to appreciate the rich history here. You know, it's part of the Old West. And, you know, one thing always comes to mind. I don't know, you know, he died of dysentery. Somebody remembers this, right? I hope so. This was probably one of the coolest things about being a kid. You were good that day, teacher lets you play this. And I don't think I had a better time in 6th grade than working together with other students and saying like, we're going to avoid dysentery. Oh no, my sister died of malaria and I lost 3 oxen. This is the kind of thing that we're hoping to bring forward to, yes, Oregon Trail, that is it. And I think you'll see what we have here, and I think you'll all agree, hey, this is kind of similar in certain ways. So go moving along. So one of the things that I'll start off with is these Nevada story maps. They're for all of the 6 major river systems across Nevada. So if we have some teachers here who are from Elko, from Carson, from Douglas County, we got you. You're close to one of these water systems. And the story maps that we did for each one of these rivers is completely different. So you can look at the Virgin River down in the south, Humboldt River in Nevada's northeast, and they're completely different because they have completely different stories. And one of the things that we're finding as we've made these, that we have to keep updating these, just like a story, stories grow, and there's always a little bit of room for improvement. So if you weren't able to find the links, use the links. We also have a QR code, and kind of rushed through getting all these materials gathered. So I got everything loaded onto Google Drive, but this is essentially what the Nevada Rivers looks like all loaded up together. And, you know, they're separated in different folders by the different rivers. Once you click on, for instance, Carson River, it'll give you 3 separate folders to choose from, sorry, 3 separate files to choose from, where you these lessons sort of start off as the Carson River lesson plan, for instance, gives you all the instructions as a teacher on how you want to prepare these for students. The Carson River handout and the gallery walk, those are for the students to take a look at. And within those, you'll be able to find the link that takes them directly to the story map. So the story map is separate, and these are just the educational materials that are tied to them. So for instance, here's the lesson plan for the Carson River story map. And this is about, I believe, 3 pages long, but I just gave you a quick snippet. This one's particularly interesting because I believe this particular lesson plan also has you, I think, build a model and also ask questions that are directly tied to the story map. So there's different functions there. And, I went through and made sure that these are quality materials that not just for the teacher's sake, they're well put together, but the science is there. One of the things I just added this morning was essentially discussing the mercury in Carson River, and particularly which areas, how many mines contributed to that. The 14 to 15 million pounds of mercury that were unleashed between that particular area. And that's important to Carson River and Carson River residents, for all to know, and the children know about. And it's a question, something we didn't shy away from there. And of course, that's just one aspect of the Carson River that's covered through this. Here's a Carson River handout, and just this is just one example. I believe the program that most teachers use to open these makes these fillable PDFs. So that's pretty handy. And at the same time, it's neatly organized. Sierra Nevada Journeys does a wonderful job with their teaching materials that they put out. So we were happy to work with them to get these out. Here's just the first page, for instance, of the Carson River story map itself. And the design is nice. We had to go through and we noticed, hey, we don't have enough emphasis over some of the native inhabitants. So we went through, made sure that we got them some order in here. And at the same time, we were able to pay homage to describe the immigrant trail, because that was so important to why people stopped here in the first place. And that was, in essence, the Carson River led people through here. So it tells a rich story. Hopefully you'll find it richly detailed, as the students would as well. Wherever possible, very good imagery was used, whether caricatures or some pictures that were available from long ago. And here's one little thing. I basically, if most people are used to story maps, they would see what's on the bottom left-hand corner and just say, oh, you got to slide right a few different times to open these up. So I think next week I'll be going through and extending them lengthwise so that teachers don't miss this, students don't miss this, and it's just easier and simpler to follow along. I was with a education facilitator for Carson middle schools last week, and essentially, we got on the topic of, the Native American story. Well, she mentioned we would also like to include something in the future about the language. I'm like, wait a minute, we can plug that in. And so this is going to be a next step that hopefully we get in through in the next week or so. And that's just a few phrases from the Carson River. At the bottom, there's also this wonderful story recorded, I believe the 1950s or 1940s by the tribe elder Hank Pete. And it has this wonderful caricature animation that goes along with it. That was done by UC Berkeley. And it tells the firsthand account of what the tribe elder felt like as a kid when they had floods there. And it's wonderfully touching. To be honest, about halfway through I get a little misty-eyed because it's just so very real and very touching. This is another one aspect that's just big for Carson River. The 2017 flood, the big dig, what happened there. If you can imagine, lots of farmers, lots of workers, cities and counties worked 24/7 for about, I'd say close to 6 weeks to create a ditch that alleviated flooding for some 47 odd homes that were going to flood over. And, that's a wonderful story. So we want to include all of this, and gives good perspective. Wherever possible, we try to use colorful photographs, good looking maps, useful maps. Which brings us to our video game. And I will say, the video game, there was one essential complication. I might see some wincing, like, how could you do that? But when it was created, it was made with the intention of putting it on Mac, being able to use Linux, being able to use Word. Once it was completely developed, it came to our attention that most teachers in Nevada use Chromebooks. That would have been good to know off the bat. So there are some teachers I've been told that do have access to Word through some laptops in their classrooms, or Apple. I know teachers in Washoe County School District don't use Chromebooks, and this would be accessible to them. But again, the educational materials that are tied to the video game are so fluid and so useful that you don't really need the video game with them. So it was well designed in that aspect. So if you go to the link, you'll instantly see, well, okay, here's our download options. Nothing for Chromebooks. But also right below it, there is a virtual reality simulation that Clark County Regional Flood Control put together. I think it's the coolest thing ever also. It's about 5 minutes long, and it's a video. You click and you can scroll, and it's completely 360. You can tie it to, of course, your Oculus or whatever, your virtual reality. But I will put that on a large PowerPoint screen, and the only real problem is the kids yell, "Let's do it again. Let's watch it again." Let's move it along. But it really is pretty cool, and this is just one snippet of it. It's two classmates, one friends, long old friends, one from UNLV, one from UNR, and they get caught up in a monsoon flood in Las Vegas. It's a flash flood, and it's so very cool. Anyways, we'll keep going along, but they did a great job there. And you'll find that when you'll scroll through, and you'll see it on this page for our NevadaFloods.org page. So here's the QR code, where the game is, and the Google Drive. I sort of patched things together as quick as I could, but we'll be pulling things together in this next week, so they're all located in one place. If you find it there and it's not there, there'll be instructions on how to get to it. So again, this is what you would look at if you just pulled it up on your Google Drive link. And so there's 3 folders there, all with individual lessons that go along with the game. I thought it was important not just to leave the pacing guide available right there, but activity 4 on how to play the game, just so if you're sneaking through it and you're like, can I see if the game works? Well, you click on it, you try it out. And that way, you know for certain before you disappoint a whole classroom of students, which I've done before, and the look on their face is pretty sad. So this is just a portion of the pacing guide, and some portions take only about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. There's certain sections where some of these materials will say, oh, click on the link to the Reno Gazette-Journal article on this type of flooding. And again, this is completely not to do with a video game, but you can get quite a kick out of all these different activities without the video game if necessary. And the fact that the instruction is very concise, tells you what materials you need, and at the same time, how long it should be, what standards it hits. Pretty well done there. Again, this is something that correlates to the game, but can be completely done without that. And just to mention, we did tell Sierra Nevada Journeys that we were looking at this hitting some standards for middle grade students. So that's what the NGSS standards are aligned to for middle grade students. But at the same time, I know I've taken the game to high school students, grade school students. Everybody loves it. And I believe some of these, the notebook page and all the lessons can bend a little bit through different age groups. Here is the instruction page on how to play the game, how to load the game. The top instructions are supposed to be easy enough for an adult to do. I'm sure kids fly through this a lot quicker. And I'll make some adjustments probably next week just to even make it clearer. But essentially part of the game is let me keep rolling through and I can actually play the game live for you. So kids start off, they are water resource engineers and they have their own office. And so they use their computers to, within their virtual, I guess, simulated office, to look at their handbook, look at their glossaries, look at the help menu, all on the simulated computer that they're on. On the right-hand side of the screen, they get to pick through and advance through different areas of Nevada. And the scenery in the background looks completely different because you're either in Rye Patch Reservoir, pretty near here, or Southern Nevada, near Boulder, and the different scenarios. I believe the game was made by folks in Texas, so it's not absolutely accurate, but it gets in the range there. And you get to go to Reno, different sites, and of course you work with a whole lot of dams, reservoirs. The trick to the game is essentially something that water managers are still trying to figure out, and how to get the balance right. You know a storm is coming, you essentially have your reservoir filled with water, you release some water, you release too much, all of a sudden the river itself has too much water, can overflow its banks. Too much rushing water can damage the levees, the sides of the rivers. So all of that is kind of adjusted by a few different tools, which are all on the bottom, and that's how you guide the game. You scroll to the left to move to the left, scroll to the right to move to the right. So it's got some pretty cool features, I'd say. So I'm going to wrap through this, and I have enough time just to get through all the video games. I just do want to mention that if you're in a community that does have some post-wildfire debris, potential debris flows, we're always able to go out there and talk to your school, classes, or even community. And lastly, this week is Nevada Flood Awareness Week, and it's our last day of it. So, this is part of it. I'd say our High Water Marks initiative, this is another something that we would like to tie into those other educational resources. So we have one of these up now in Wingfield Park, Reno. The one on the top right is a mural that's recently been put up in Carson City. And once you click on the QR or go to the map, check out the QR code, you get all of the images of past flood events that have occurred within that area. And for Reno, I put that one together myself. I essentially chose as many images as possible so that everybody gets a feeling for what that area looked like during those past floods. And the high water mark should tell you how high the water gets at that one particular spot. Because we have a lot of Californians and folks from all over the US coming, it's difficult to tell them each and every time, yeah, Nevada floods. So this kind of does the job for us, and it does it in a good way. Here are some of our floodplain management partners. And of course, FEMA is super important, the Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Emergency Management. To me, Nevada teachers definitely deserve one big part of that. And I think the most excellent partnerships begin with those that can tell the story to the next generation and keep us well off. Just briefly, my position will probably be ending within a couple weeks, but any emails I'll still always resolve and get back to. But these tools that are virtual will be there, and we have other folks that are going to be lined up to make sure that they're going to be well taken care of and added to. Here's my contact information. And again, I would definitely try to get through any emails the next few weeks, or reach out to my partner there as well. Let me close this up and get to any questions, comments in the chat. Oh, actually, really quick, let me race through some of these cool things. So for instance, if anybody can see and just nod your head, they can see this, right? It's the video gameplay. Yes. Okay. Great. So here's one of the towns, for instance. And as you pass different levels, you also unlock different terms. The handbook, there's different videos embedded within the video game, which are pretty neat. All right, there's that. Really quick, here's your virtual reality. There's your buddy who's egging you on to like drive through, because that's no problem, right? And it does look like Vegas, right? Um, okay, so if you want to see more, you got the links. I hope you all found that okay.
Carlos, I've been fielding the chat. I don't see a lot of questions other than someone's definitely has shown interest in what it would take to get it compatible with Chromebook. I guess that would be the video game. It looks like a few people have had some issues trying to open it up on their work desktop.
So I really hope the instructions were good enough, but yeah, you have to extract it. It's a little bit of a pain. The quotes that we got to update everything with the newest sort of doodads that would make it open much easier were in the tens of thousands of dollars. So we want to, be conscious and save each Nevada taxpayer, every penny there. But yeah, we'll definitely improve it as soon as we can, as cheap as we can, because that's what we do. I'm not sure if anybody else is able to also come off of mute, but if you'd like to just ask any questions just out loud, be happy to field them as well.
Thank you. It was great.
Okay, if we have fun watching it, the kids just have a ball with this kind of stuff, and we all like to make sure kids are well educated but really happy too in the end, right?
All right. Well, I'm not.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say thank you to everybody for attending and taking your time today. And I hope you got some good information out of this. And like Carlos said, we really appreciate the teachers, and since we do work with teachers, we understand how incredible your job is and how hard it is. And I can't imagine being a teacher, and you probably hear that too often from too many people. But again, thank you for what you do. Much appreciated.
Yeah, certainly from my perspective, it's awesome resources. So I appreciate both of you guys sharing that as a teacher in the classroom. It's sometimes you're always looking for those extra resources and those activities to keep the kids engaged. And it's nice to have partners with the state of Nevada like both of you guys are doing. So nice job, gentlemen, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, so I think that'll wrap up our session. Any last questions? I'll end the recording and it'll go off to the powers that be, and they'll take care of it.
Is there a sign-in sheet?
Should have been in the chat under attendance. Let's see, at 3:34 on the timeline. Do you need me to send that out again? It's titled attendance link. I can grab it and send it one more time here.
Great, I found it. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Everybody enjoyed a wonderful weekend, and happy Thanksgiving week coming up. If you're in Carson, you have a week off. I'm not sure what other districts do, but enjoy the time off with your family and friends.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.